Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the farm with none other than Mr. Rob Ski himself. How you doing, Rob?
Hi guys, Tim. Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother. So Rob and I were talking about AKs and things like that, and the topic of the Mutant came up, which I have here on my lap, and this is the CMMG Mutant. It has a Recce 7 Griffin Armament suppressor on it, and we brought it out here to the farm to play with it and compare it to an AK. What the Mutant is an AR-15 that's been upsized to handle, I don't want to make that roll off, to handle the 7.62 by 39 cartridge. What makes it somewhat unique is the size of the internal components. The gun has been upsized. Like I said, it's an AR-15, but it's kind of a AR-10, AR-15 that takes AK mags.
It's my impression on it is it's like enlarged version of the AR rifle, and all the ergonomics and everything breakdowns are exactly the same as on AR or M4s or M16s. But this is the bolt you were talking about.
Yeah.
So it is a real monster in size, guys. I mean, if you will look at it, it's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge.
And on your typical 7.62 by 39 AR conversion, you're using a standard AR-15 bolt, and when they do that, the edge here becomes paper thin. Now, is that a problem? I don't know. I've never personally seen a 7.62 by 39 AR bolt fail, so I can't say it's a potential problem, but the guys at CMMG beefed up the entire thing. So what we see here, basically from bolt to about midway just behind the gas key, is AR-10 sized, and now it tapers down to a standard M4 style buffer diameter. So this is just a standard M4 buffer tube on here, so it's not an AR-10. But basically the whole thing is beefed up to handle that larger cartridge. So we brought it out, we wanted to shoot it next to some AKs. Rob's holding the C39V2, which is from Century Arms, and we wanted to see how this thing also compared to the AK suppressed.
Absolutely. From my experience when I was shooting down the range these two rifles, I'll tell you it's a greater pleasure to run the Mutant. There is no question about it.
Yeah.
I think we felt even so comfortable with it that we took out the Ear Pro and we were running without the Ear Pro. So on that noise level, the Mutant, I think so, wins in this regard. But you have to remember the Mutant has no piston.
Right.
So here a lot of noise comes also from that piston crack on the AK. It wasn't bad, it wasn't really bad on the C39V2 when we had the suppressor on it, but it wasn't as comfortable as on the Mutant.
Right, as I was standing next to the rifle when you were firing it suppressed, I could distinctly, without my hearing protection on, hear that piston pop. It's coming from right here. Now, you can mute that a little bit if you use a gas tube that doesn't have a porting in it. It will contain a little bit more of that pop, and but also it increases gas pressure in the tube. I don't know if that's...
And that's a great point. What's going to happen is because of the way how the dust cover is designed on the AK, you're going to have even more gases blowing back at your face.
Right.
So at some point I was getting really hot in that area, and I could feel that smoke blowing at me. And you know, we still have the regular gas tube with the vent hose.
Right.
So as you said, yes, it will trim down the noise, but you have to be aware of that blowback.
Right.
It will increase even more. But then again, you know, probably if you're running the suppressor in some big problem situation, you're not going to dump a lot of rounds down the range.
Well, the suppressors can really only handle about 3 magazines. In our testing with suppressors, you really don't want to get past 1,000 degrees on a suppressor. 3 to 4 magazines out of an M4 on your standard can will get you up over 1,000 degrees. Now you run the risk of blowing the can off the end of the gun. So suppressors are definitely meant for short-term use. Or
Absolutely. And that's another great point. You could feel the hot building up all over the frame of both weapons, on the Mutant and on the C39V2. I would definitely advise wearing a good gloves when shooting it. Don't be stupid, don't run it with naked hands.
No, yeah, suppressors are a real treat, but they're also, I don't know how many times I've burned myself with the direct thread suppressors. You're inclined to reach up there and grab them to tighten them down, and within a magazine they're 600-700 degrees, man. That's instant second-degree burn. But go ahead.
Another great point, Tim, for both of these weapons, we didn't have a problem with shifting point of impact on the target, which was kind of surprising, because we both were betting on it, how much that point will shift, but the 100 yards distance, really there was no difference.
Yeah, I was really surprised, because a lot of the times I'll find with suppressors, you put them on either handguns or rifles, you're going to see a slight point of impact shift. And with both of these rifles, with the Griffin can on, this is a Griffin mount meant for 14x1 left-hand thread. That's meant for the AK, so it's the same suppressor we were running back and forth on the two guns. And yeah, 0 point of impact shift. Really cool to find that out.
The Griffin did a good job on that can.
It did.
I mean, there's no question about it.
But I have to say, this thing was ridiculously quiet. Now, not 300 blackout quiet, because we still have the bullet break and the sound barrier, but extremely comfortable without hearing protection.
And we were running all the regular ammo.
Right.
We had the Wolf ammo, we had the Tula ammo, everything, and really the level noise was absolutely down. As I said, we both took down our ear protection, and it was very comfortable. I think so you were getting more feedback from the steel noise-wise than from the gun himself, which is amazing. The Mutant did an outstanding job.
And what people, when I started posting pictures of the Mutant on Instagram and on Facebook, I had a couple of commenters say, oh, it'd be great, but the only thing they screwed up was leaving the gas piston out. And I was telling them, no, I like the direct gas impingement because it's really quiet. I like to suppress things. And in the case of the Mutant, this is the first time we fired it suppressed. I fired it suppressed. And again, I don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over, but it blew me away. Really cool. Suppressed got 100% function.
Now the trade-off for this could be you getting more pollution back to the bolt carrier and the bolt action. So it will be interesting to see it in for a long run how much of the dirt you will be getting to the action, and how this is going to impact the performance of the rifle on the long run.
Yep.
But again, we're going back to these limited runs out of the can before the can gets hot. So maybe that's not that bad. Maybe it was worth it. Maybe that's one of these trades which you are willing to accept and take it down.
Now, you guys are running some drills with the gun. Now, obviously it has a rock and lock magazine like an AK, but it has an AR-15 style charging handle. So if you're used to running the AK, I mean, it is a Mutant. I mean, you're rocking and locking, and I find myself clearing mags or putting mags in. I want to go like this, and I should be going like this. And you were doing some drills with some magazine changes, and I would say if you're used to AKs, it's a little bit more cumbersome.
It is more cumbersome, and this was my first time with the Mutant.
Right.
So maybe after a few days of using it, I'll get used to it. But I was going back, especially with the charging handle. I had a problem because that charging handle, as you pointed out already, is really small, and it's hard to rack it quickly on that magazine change. I mean, it's not impossible, but you will be much more efficient if you will have a large charging handle like from Bravo company. Right,
and that's what I looked at. I mean, when I first picked up the rifle, that's what I was playing around with, was the charging handle, thinking, man, I really got to do something to improve the purchase of the T-handle, and I tried to put a Bravo company in. An M4 charging handle, a Bravo company, didn't fit, too short. I went and picked up an AR-10 Bravo company, too long. This thing is somewhere in between. So what I wound up doing is one of the viewers actually suggested putting a YHM extended release on it. So I ordered one from Primary Arms. I'll hopefully have it this week. And I'm going to put that on there, and it should extend the charging handle out just a little bit, which will hopefully resolve that issue. The only other problem we had with it this afternoon was the fact that we noticed that the handrail started to walk off. 2 bolts here that hold it in place. One of them I found was loose. And so as we were firing it, the front handguard was kind of sliding off the gun, but we tightened it down and everything's good to go now.
It was Paul's fault and his finger happy hand. But
he was pulling on it too hard.
Yeah, he was pulling too hard. But yeah, that was the only issue which we had with that rifle, and I wouldn't even call that issue because, as you said, one of the bolts get loose, and that was the problem. Other than this, I like that large mag release. It kind of works well. There's no problem to dumping off the magazine.
It's really big. I mean, you can hit it with your finger.
And it's very loose. It works nicely too.
Yeah.
From the ergonomics point of view, my only issue and complaint was with the charging handle.
Yeah.
Other than this, the rifle works perfectly fine. It's nice to have that rail on the top by default, like on all the ARs. And I think so that they did a good job.
Right.
Now the time will tell how this rifle will perform in your arsenal, and how you're going to use it, and are you going to be happy with it or not.
Well, I want to take it out and do some accuracy testing for it. Then I want to bring it back here to the farm and subject it to your AK torture test. Seriously, because I want to see how it holds up. I mean, I expect it to be fairly accurate. I think we found this afternoon it's performing well. Yep. We've only shot it with a red dot sight. We have the aim point carbine optic on it, but that's a heavy barrel on this thing. And some of the guys were commenting, "Oh, it's neat, but it's too heavy." Do you find it to be uncomfortably heavy or unbalanced?
No, I think so. It's balanced very well.
That's my opinion.
It is a little bit on the heavy side, but again, with the length of the rifle, with you got the rail going all the way to the end, and you got the optic on it, it wasn't bad at all. I wouldn't complain about the weight. If you're complaining about the weight, hit the gym. Do some exercises.
Yeah. It is a little heavier than an AK, but it's certainly, what I found about it is it balances very well. I mean, it points naturally. We were talking about going back and forth between targets. It moves very quickly. If you're used to the M4 style rifle, I mean, you're going to come right over this thing. The only thing you're really going to have to learn is the rock and lock on the magazine.
And as I said, maybe after the few days of using it, you're going back to the you know, kind of feeling comfortable with it. That could be, you know, the only issue. But other than this, I think so they did a good job. It's just I'm dying to see how this rifle is going to perform at the farm when we're going to put that rifle with Paul through the grinder and see how it's going to perform. Because definitely, you know, I'm worrying about that chamber, how it's going to handle the scent tornado test. But you know, that's why we're going to do this, to see how what the result will be. But I'm also interested how, when you're going to take it to really, you know, like a bench rest and put it through the accuracy test, if that barrel is paying off. Because from what I'm seeing right now, I can bet on it is at least 1.5 MOA rifle.
You think so?
I think so. And we were shooting a really shitty ammo, so too. So hopefully we'll get the nice results from it.
Yep. So overall, I mean, I'm interested in the rifle. I'm not going to give it my stamp of approval yet, but it's piqued my interest. I think that this thing has real potential. I'm not a real big fan of AR-15s that have been converted. I think I've already said that. And so when I first heard about the Mutant, I thought, lukewarm to the idea. I kept getting emails, check out the Mutant, check out the Mutant. And finally, you know, I picked one up and decided to give it a shot. And I'm so far impressed with the concept. I like it.
I would say that definitely people should put this on a map when looking for the hybrids, and have that kind of hybrid gun using 7.62 by 39 ammo, and maybe not really sold on the AK, and that could be an outstanding option.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to put a trigger in it. Now, Geissele also has their new AK trigger out, but it's a standard AR-15 trigger, so if you want to drop a Geissele trigger in there, or Timony or whatever it is that you like, it'll accept a standard AR-15 trigger, which is a nice thing. But the AK triggers are catching up, man. I mean, I'm seeing some really nice AK triggers. That new Geissele AK trigger is just amazing.
Yes.
So, but you do have the benefits of running, key mod accessories on it and stuff like that. But like I said, interesting rifle. Definitely want to explore it more. I'm looking forward to getting out to long range, seeing how she groups, and then bringing it back out here to the grinder. And probably gonna have to rattle can it after that because it's gonna be all boogered up. You're hard on rifles, man.
Sweet, sweet.
All right.
Thanks for bringing that rifle to us. I mean,
absolutely.
It's really awesome.
Well, thanks for having us out, Rob. If you guys have any questions, you can ask those questions either on my Facebook page or Rob's Facebook page. We'll put links to all that down below. Rob, do you have anything you want to close out with?
No, that's it.
All right.
See you guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks a bunch.